My grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and she was living in the area where Blessed Clemens von Galen was. And he had this, because he was a bishop, because he had an aristocratic background, he kind of had a level of stature that made him harder for the Nazi regime to move against. And he really used his position to speak out for justice, to speak out against what was happening. And my grandmother pointed to his activity as being a key reason for her being able to survive, because she was able to kind of hide out on farms by people who were hearing his sermons and being influenced by it. So now that I'm in politics, I reflect often on von Galen's example as someone who was willing to speak truth to power in an extremely difficult situation.
Yeah, after Judah, we have Lily Kateri, so the first Indigenous Canadian saint. And then after her, we have Phineas Francis. So that was for St. Francis Xavier. My background, I'm from a part of India called Goa, and St. Francis Xavier on his journeys to evangelize spent time in Goa. And likely it is a major part of the fact that my ancestors are Catholic was that he came and evangelized the people in that region.
A saint in sneakers and a brave bishop speaking out against the Nazis. What do they have to do with a Canadian family of 8 in Alberta? Let's find out in this week's episode, exploring the Genuis family's journey of faith and secrets to a lasting marriage. Thank you and God bless.
Good afternoon, sisters in Christ. We are humbled and honored to have Conservative MP Garnett Genuis and his wife, Dr. Rebecca Genuis, on our podcast. And if you wouldn't mind starting us off with a prayer, please.
Sure. Yeah. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity, for this conversation. I pray that you'll bless our time and bless those who are listening. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And I have this book about Carlo Acutis, and it says God's Computer Genius. And your name, I mean, you have an awesome name. Can you just give us a bit of a background to your name?
Sure. So, my paternal grandparents were from the little island of Malta, where St. Paul was shipwrecked, and so the original pronunciation was Genuis, but when my grandparents came to Canada, it was in the 1950s. It was before kind of the recognition of multiculturalism that we have today. So the pronunciation got changed to Genuis in practice because I guess that was him trying to blend in. But anyways, it's a Maltese name, and proud of that heritage, and that's where it comes from.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I mispronounced your name then. I'm going to fix that.
The point is, everyone pronounces it because just my father changed it. So no fault to anyone.
Okay, tell us again. How do you pronounce it correctly?
Genuis is how we say it now.
Genuis. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to our non-Canadian listeners who are a lot of them are in Australia, actually, and some in Europe, and a lot in America. So just wanted to introduce you first. Garnett Genuis, did I say that correctly?
Exactly.
Genuis. Garnett Genuis is a member of parliament for Sherwood Park for Saskatchewan and a Conservative Shadow Minister for Jobs. About his role in the Conservative Shadow Cabinet, Genuis says a job is a way to earn a living, but is more than that. For many, a job is a critical source of meaning. It helps us serve our communities, provide for our families, learn skills, and find our place in the world. First elected to Parliament in 2015, Genuis is a longtime resident of Strathcona County, where he currently resides with his wife, Rebecca, a family doctor, and their 6 children. Genuis has also been active on many high-profile domestic and international human rights issues. His interest in human rights was shaped by the experience of his grandmother, a Holocaust survivor. He previously served for 5 years as the Conservative Shadow Minister for International Development. Genuis holds degrees from Carleton University and the London School of Economics, and he runs a bi-weekly podcast called Resuming Debate, publishes regularly on Substack, and spends any spare time reading history books and playing strategy games with his children. The family also includes a Newfoundlander dog named Grace. And now, Dr. Rebecca Genuis is a physician with a special interest in functional medicine as it pertains to women's health and family. And she has written for several medical journals and spoken at numerous conferences on topics including preconception care, nutrition, environmental health, and medical ethics. She is a mother to 6 children, and having seen the benefits of healthy living in her own family, she is passionate about educating couples to make healthy choices for themselves and their families. Welcome, and I'm already feeling inadequate. I'm just joking. But thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just really so inspired. But after I saw that story, I guess it was a Twitter post that was retweeted by a prominent Catholic blogger or Twitter influencer, that you had named your son after Saint Carlo Acutis. Can you tell us, how did this happen? Why did you choose Carlo Acutis?
Yeah, so all of our kids have saints' names in their names because we think, the saints are these great heroes for them to look up to and to hopefully learn from, and in some ways maybe model their lives in different ways after. So, but I will say with our youngest, so his first name's Isidore. We were tossing around names. When you get to number 6, maybe you don't have like your top 3 have been taken already. So I think I was like 2 weeks before I was set to deliver, and we still didn't have a name. So we were playing with these different names. And so one day at the dinner table, I asked the kids like, hey, what do you guys think? I gave them like fair warning. We probably aren't going to take the names you suggest, but what do you think we should name this baby anyway? And we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So everyone, came up with these different names. My 7-year-old said we should definitely name him Carlo. And it was because I had been reading them this book that was called How to Become a Saint, based on sort of the life of blessed at the time, Carlo. So we'd been reading that, and then my 7-year-old had like really caught the fire from it. And like one of the things was go to mass as much as you can. So she had started like coming to mass with me during the week and different things. So anyway, so then she was sure that this baby's name needed to be Carlo. But her dad and I weren't so sure. So, one night she's sort of one of my more sensitive children, so one night I was putting her to bed, and I just mentioned like, hey, just so you know, we might not choose the name Carlo. And she just like burst into tears, and she was so sad. She couldn't even come for story time because she couldn't understand why this baby's name couldn't be Carlo. So Garnett was away the evening that happened, but I texted him and I was like, Lily's like really sad about this. Like, what do you think? And he was immediately like, okay, we'll have to make it a middle name then if it's a boy. So, okay, boy number 4. And that's sort of where it came from. So like I think we have like learned a lot from now St. Carlo, but it was really actually like the passion of my 7-year-old that led to him getting that as a middle name.
Okay, that's amazing. And is there something now that he's become a saint? It was his feast day. The first feast day was on Sunday. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And what was it about Blessed Carlo that I guess drew you and your child to the name?
Yeah, so as I recall, we had a book about then Blessed, now Saint Carlo that our daughter read, and she got a lot out of, and I think it was kind of his just kind of clear-eyed focus on what was important, and how that was like very easily understandable and digested by our children. And as Rebecca said, I mean, a key reason to name your children after saints, to hold up saints, is that they be examples of virtue from different vocations. And we've got 6 kids now, so each of them have kind of a particular saint when we're doing our family prayers that we invoke, and representing different kinds of vocations, and highlighting for them that that God calls everyone from all circumstances and in all vocations.
And are you able to share some of the names of your kids?
Sure. Yeah. So, well, our oldest, Saint Gianna Mola,
Okay.
uh, Rebecca's medical background made that a natural fit. And
Yeah, that was negotiated while we were dating. Actually, I said our firstborn daughter is going to be Janice, so
yeah. And St.
kindly-
Gianamola's son was in town here speaking.
That's right. When I was
as
pregnant,
well.
yeah.
So that was nice as well. The second son, Judah Clement, for Clemens von Galen, lesser known, Blessed Clemens von Galen was a very vocal critic of the Nazis in Germany during the Second World War, and a personal connection to me. So you mentioned the bio. My grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and she was living in the area where Blessed Clemens von Galen was, and he had this, because he was a bishop, because he had an aristocratic background. He kind of had a level of stature that made him harder for the Nazi regime to move against, and he really used his position to speak out for justice, to speak out against what was happening. And my grandmother, who was not Catholic, attributed his activity. Pointed to his activity as being a key reason for her being able to survive, because she was able to kind of hide out on farms by people who were hearing his sermons and being influenced by it. So now that I'm in politics, I reflect often on von Galen's example as someone who was willing to speak truth to power in an extremely difficult situation, and was able to create an environment in that area where my grandmother was able to survive. So von Galen is particularly important to me. I have a big portrait of him on the wall at my office, and there's a great biography written actually by a Toronto-based priest called Lion of Munster. So if anyone is interested in learning more about von Galen's story, again, sort of lesser known, I think, compared to some of the others that we've mentioned, but that's a great book that people can find. So next one, do you want to?
Yeah, after Judah, we have Lily Kateri, so the first Indigenous Canadian saint. And then after her, we have Phineas Francis. So that was for St. Francis Xavier. My background, I'm from a part of India called Goa, and St. Francis Xavier, on his journeys to evangelize, spent time in Goa. And likely it is a major part of the fact that my ancestors are Catholic was that he came and evangelized the people in that region. And then, and then we have.
Well, you have to do this when you have this many children. You're like, okay, which should I? 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead.
Augustine is his name. We call him Gus for short. And of course, after Saint Augustine of Hippo, and then
Isidore rounds out the bunch.
Okay, amazing. And just to go back to your grandmother, I'm just curious. So was she Catholic at the time? Can you tell us a little bit more about her? Yeah.
So my grandmother was a wonderful, wonderful person, big influence on my life. Very, very devout Christian, and so that I think there would have been sort of a Catholic and a Protestant community in that area of Germany. Father's family were Jewish, although her grandparents had converted to Christianity, so she, I think, turned 18 in 1945. So she was a child living in Germany, kind of during the pre-war Nazi period and during the war itself. Her father, they were able to get one visa out for the family. So her father, who was in the greatest danger, his presence would have caused more danger for the family. So he left right before the war. He took the Trans-Siberian train, got a visa to Ecuador, and ended up in Ecuador. And then my grandmother and her mother spent the war in Germany. And so she had to spend a portion of that period hiding out, and she would stay on farms, do some of the sort of hard physical work, and kind of move around from place to place in order to avoid detection and capture. So very, very hard, very, very painful time, but her faith was a great source of strength for her. And so people may be familiar with the White Rose movement. So Clemens von Galen, the bishop, gave these these very bold anti-Nazi sermons that were widely distributed, and the Catholic Church faced a lot of persecution, in part because of some of these stances that were taken against the Nazis. But because of his position of privilege, he was kind of able to avoid personally being killed. Although reports are that the Nazi high command kind of discussed how to deal with him and said that, well, they would move against him after the war was over. And of course, they didn't ever have the chance. Now, von Galen was named a cardinal right after the war, and this was a powerful recognition of the good people in Germany who had stood up for what was right and stood against the regime. And so he became a cardinal, and a week later he died. It was that was I guess he was quite elderly at that point, and I guess he'd accomplished the tasks that had been set out for him. Meanwhile, my grandmother and her mother went to South America to be reunited with her father. My grandmother wasn't ever able to finish her education, but she got a job in a bookstore. So she made up for what she hadn't been able to learn in school, and then some by reading voraciously. And eventually she met a Canadian engineer at a house party, who was my grandfather, and they got engaged 3 weeks after meeting, and made a few other stops in other places around the world. My mother was born in Venezuela, but anyways, they ended up in Canada. And so, my family's quite ecumenical. There's kind of a mix of people from different Christian traditions in my family, but the story of von Galen has always been told very fondly as a real positive example of someone standing up for what's right.
That's a phenomenal story. And was your grandmother's, I guess, example, her faith, did that sort of inform your own faith growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. My grandmother had this like incredible living faith. Like I remember when we were kids and we would stay over at her house, and we would pray together before we'd go to bed, and invariably, like, we would fall asleep in the middle of her prayer because she would pray for a long time, right? But she had this like demeanor when she was praying, like she was just talking to someone that she knew, right? Like it was like a warm friendship conversation with someone that she knew. And I think people who go through such intense childhood trauma, they have a lot of different kinds of responses to that, obviously, and and certainly there had been a lot of pain. The version we saw of our grandmother was just so loving and optimistic and hopeful, and it's miraculous how her faith has sustained her through incredibly different experiences and allowed her to be such a blessing to so many people. So I think a lot about her, and and I think about when you're in a position of power as a leader, von Galen as a bishop, as a politician, you have the opportunity to impact people's lives who you'll never meet. So I think about her, and I think about von Galen, and try to use the influence I have in my vocation to be a voice for those that don't have a voice for themselves.
That's absolutely an amazing testimony. And Dr. Rebecca, can you tell us also where you said you mentioned you're from Goa, or you have ties to Goa? What is the background of your faith? How did you grow up as a Catholic?
I did, yeah. So both my parents were Goan Indians, and so like the majority of Goans, they were Catholic. So they both came to Canada before they knew each other, before they were married. And so I was born and raised in Burlington, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. And I was, baptized as an infant, grew up going to Catholic school. And as I think often is the case with Catholics in that family, it was a slow discovery of my faith and appreciation of just the richness and the depth and the beauty of it as I got older and learned more and was more formed.
Yes, amazing. And so how did you both meet? If you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So there are a few different versions But the most immediate one was Catholic Match, the Catholic dating website. So we had some mutual friends in common. Rebecca had, my father's a doctor as well. Rebecca had done an elective with him. So we kind of knew who each other were, but the immediate trigger was Catholic dating website, which is a good tool, frankly, for people of any faith to use faith-based online tools for expediting the process.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, St. Carlo had used the internet, so it's sort of apropos that you met
Yeah.
that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you meet in Ontario? I was going to say, did you meet in Ontario or in Alberta or?
Yeah, so Garnett was going to school in Ottawa at the time we met, so it was like a 6-hour drive away, which was
Oh, okay.
really doable. So we dated for about 6 months, and then he proposed and got on a plane to do a master's in England, and then he returned a few weeks before our wedding, and we got married 13 months about after we met. So
It was more like 4 months.
no, it was actually 6 months, but so we were long distance the whole time. But on our first date, Garnett told me a few things. He said, number one, his great pickup line. I've never dated someone in the natural sciences, so I don't really know if this is gonna work. He was
Part of the context is like a lot of my family are doctors, right? So we have this like banter back and forth. I'm one of the minority in my family that pursued a career in the social sciences. So
yes, and then he also told me, after I'm done my education, I am moving back to Alberta, and I'm going to be running for office. So if that doesn't work with your life plans, then this also is not going to work. So I mean, I think early on, Garnett sort of knew what his vocation was in terms of politics, and so that was always the plan, was that we would end up here, and so we have.
And you're still very young, but at that point, I guess you were in your 20s when you got married.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
23 and Garnett is 24.
Okay. And so, I mean, it's kind of countercultural now to get married that young. What made you guys decide, this is for us, and you wanted to do this together, this political life?
Maybe I'll go first on that. So I have this to kind of connect something I'm doing now. So I have this role within our conservative team as the point person for jobs. And so I talk to young people about career planning. And one of the things I see in the context of career planning, I think it applies to a lot of areas of life, is it's good to kind of think early about where you want to go and to start early pursuing your goals. If you want to have a career in a certain area, think about how you can start acquiring the skills for that area when you're younger. And it also, when it comes to marriage and family, it was our judgment that it was good to identify the direction we wanted to go, and then to proceed down that path. Now, it is funny looking back, because like now, we've been married for about 15 years, still madly in love, and knowing each other much better than we did. It's sort of funny looking back and thinking like, man, I really had very little information when making that initial decision, right? But I guess you would always feel that way, right? Like, even if we had dated for longer, like you'd always feel that, relatively speaking. But it's and we had a lot of really like intentional conversation. And it's part of the nature of a long distance relationship is it's not like we were attracted to each other because of, a common interest in playing golf or something, right? Like we were intentional in meeting, intentional in having conversations about what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go and what was important to us. So we had the important conversations, and then we're ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think we did pray too, and felt like God said,
Yes.
here's the right person. And that has certainly proven to be the case.
And yes, as you were saying, the intentionality. My husband did the same thing to me. He had a book of questions. Actually, the priest gave it to him. So I guess I passed. It was a whole book. Anyways, and we also got married like relatively quickly, maybe within 5 months. but yeah, intentionality. So, but yeah, he also said he's in the military, he's in the reserves. He said, this is my life, and yeah, if it doesn't work with you, then I guess it's not going to work, but it's working. And so, but
I
yeah,
would advise people like, I mean, you want to still be romantic and not make it sound just like a job interview, but it makes sense to ask the serious questions early on before you've wasted time and energy. And you don't want to be going out with someone for a long time and feel that emotional entanglement and then be it's like, wait, what? There's some fundamental aspect of your future plans or your values that makes us incompatible. Like then you've just set yourself up for unnecessary heartache.
Or compromise.
yeah. And I hope you don't mind. How did the proposal go?
Well, if the result was she said yes. So yeah, it was. So I don't know if this is still a thing, right? But they had ride shares. And this is how I would save money traveling between Toronto and Ottawa. I would, pay $20 to hitch a ride with someone. And so I was going to Toronto to propose and surprise Rebecca. And I had the ring in my bag. So I'm taking this ride share. And I was sharing a car with like the most uncouth group of young men you could possibly imagine, who I casually mentioned I was thinking about proposing, and they actively tried to talk me out of it. So I kind of left the car. Anyways, but I had a cake made that said, "Will you marry me?" And then I
Stuck a ring in it.
stuck a ring in the cake and came to the door and rang the bell and surprised her.
I was in my pajamas. It was brutal, but I changed before we took the pictures. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a sweet proposal. And sorry, I see that our time is almost up. I just want to get to like marriage, and it's hard. Marriage is hard, and some young people seem to not be wanting to get married because probably it's hard, and so are children. Having children. Sorry, my son is in the background. Speaking of children, but yes, yes. Yeah, he has a little cold, so he's asking for a Scotchman. But anyways, yeah. So you've been married for 15 years, and you should be getting a medal, like or something. What is the secret to a lasting marriage?
Like marriage is wonderful and it's the best relationship that you'll ever have. And so with a human, so like it's worth working on and it's worth figuring out. And I think the thing that makes our marriage work well is just that we're determined to make it work. So regardless of what's happening in our lives or what our circumstances are, we take the time to figure out what's not working if there are things, and then we talk about it and we try things, and I think of our marriage just like this thing that we're going to find ways to make work. And when it's not working, then we're going to analyze it like a little bit scientific, but we're just gonna like think about, okay, what is the problem here? And then we're gonna come up with a solution, a hypothesis, if you will, and then we're gonna try it for a while. And then if it doesn't work, then we're going to develop another hypothesis, and we're gonna just keep working on it until it works. Because like for me, for children, like it's such a source of joy, of stability, and like a launching pad for them in terms of their encounter with the world, the culture, with their environment. And so I just think it's like worth every amount of effort that it requires of us.
I think one of the things we established early on was when there were points of friction, we would try to talk things through to solutions. We didn't want to be having the same conversation about the same problem over and over and over again. Like we wanted to, if there was an issue, we would talk it through and try to come to a solution to it, and then action that. Now our life is like when you've got a large family. I travel back and forth between Alberta and Ottawa for work. Like there are a lot of like logistical and time pressures, and having a large family. I mean, it's there's a lot of like coordination logistics involved, right? But I think, we as we constantly adapt to new circumstances, we make it work well. And at the center of it is that we deeply love each other and see love as being a choice, right? Not just something that hits you over the head and lasts as long as it does, but as a conscious choice that we renew every day.
And finally, so how does faith play in your marriage? What role does it play? And in your family?
Yeah, go for you first.
Um, so I guess like I would say, like being Catholic, trusting the church who says like marriage is this metaphysical thing that exists then, that has informed my approach to marriage to say, this is a thing that I am sort of in for the rest of my life. And so I'm going to make it enjoyable for myself, for my husband, because I don't want to be a part of something that isn't that, right? So I think like having that sort of truth then informs my approach to marriage. It's not a thing that I enjoy as long as it's enjoyable and then I leave, but it's sort of a longer commitment. It's a lifelong commitment that I've made. Um, and then I think like the faith is just so rich that it informs our family culture in so many ways. Like we talked about our children having saint names, so we celebrate their saints' feast days, right? There's so much about our faith, I guess, that like trickles in, that informs our dinner time discussions. It helps us, if we're watching a movie, to talk about like, hey, should this person have done this or should they not have? And like, why do you think that or why don't you think that? Right? Like, it's just it sort of permeates our life in many ways. And the community too that we have that comes from being part of a faith community has been a huge gift to the children and to us too.
Yeah, and the way I would put it is, like I'm a Catholic because I believe that the propositions of our faith are true, and that truth testifies to truth in all domains, and it is also good and beautiful. So it's not that I would see faith as like this kind of separate thing that informs or influences life. I would more say that like um, it is good to live your life in accordance with reality. That is in accordance with truths about the world, about the human condition, and um, you know, I I spend a lot of time, even as it relates to the work I'm doing, sort of reading church social teaching, for example, as a great uh, repository of truth, of ideas about the human person, about society, the human condition, that work well in dialogue with other sources. So, yeah, like I don't see faith as being sort of a thing separate. I see it as a thing integrated with our marriage, with our family life, with the work we do.
And have you celebrated your anniversary yet, or is it coming up?
It's in May, so
Oh,
sort of a display mark, I think.
okay, okay. Well, that would be a beautiful day, and hopefully you'll have something planned. I don't know if you're going to go away by yourself or with your children, or anyway. I guess just plant that bug in your ear.
So I was always roll the dice whether I have to be not.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay, okay. Well, I'm again truly inspired by you and your family. I've seen the photos of you, and then for Thanksgiving you had this beautiful family picture. That I was telling my husband, like, this family is amazing. Like I wish that you would be celebrated more, really, because we do need a lot of witnesses. Because yeah, family and marriage can be a struggle, but it's also a joy, and it's great to see that joy and that hope and that happiness in your own family. So thank you for sharing with us. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't want to give people the impression that like every moment is easy, or like there's a lot of takes that go into every one of those pictures. Yeah. It's which is sort of like life, I guess. But eventually you try to get the good one, and so thank you for this opportunity, and
Thanks.
it's great to have this chance for us to reflect a bit more and chat about these things too. So thank you for what you do.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's amazing, and thank you for taking this time. I know you're super busy. Family time is so important and crucial to you, so I appreciate you taking this time. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.
Continued blessings. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much for joining us this week. We want to wish a blessed Thanksgiving to our American listeners and subscribers. And thank you to all of you who have been with us recently or since the beginning from different countries around the world: Australia, Israel, Germany, Luxembourg, Vietnam, Russia, and of course, Canada. I'm so humbled to report that we are close to 5,000 downloads on our audio podcast and have more than 700 subscribers and 101,000 views on our humble YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we sincerely keep you in our prayers, and please keep us in yours. Thank you. Have you named your kids after saints? Let us know by commenting below or sending us fan mail on Buzzsprout. Thank you again. God bless and have blessed Thanksgiving. And thank you to the Genuis family for sharing their beautiful story of faith and family as an example for all of us. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Veil and Armor podcast.
I invite you to share this with another Catholic mom today. Please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel, and please spread the word. Let's be brave. Let's be bold. And be blessed together.